Welcome to the Dead Pixel Society podcast, the photo imaging industry's leading news source. Here's your host, Gary Peugeot. The Dead Pixel Society podcast is brought to you by Media Clip, Advertech Printing, and Independent Photo Imagers.
Hello again and welcome to the Dead Pixel Society podcast. I'm your host, Gary Peugeot, and today we're joined by Jasmeet Singh, who's the CEO and chief photographer of 415 Headshots in San Francisco area. Hi, Jasmeet. How are you doing today?
Hey, Gary. How are you? I'm doing well. Thank you for asking.
So you've got an interesting story about how you got into the business. You've always wanted to be a photographer, but you didn't start out that way. What was your first foray into the business world?
Into the business world, it's a good question. You know what? Actually, I'd like to kind of set the stage a little bit.
Sure.
So
Absolutely.
it's not like I jumped into photography. I've been doing photography since seventh grade. My high school had a black room or dark room, and I've been practicing film photography since I was in high school. Stopped. So to kind of that preludes the context I'm about to give. In college, I chased molecular biology, and believe it or not, it's actually a very creative field.
Really?
Well, most people won't think about it that way. After college, I joined a couple of startups in the Bay Area. I worked with CRISPR technology, worked at big tech as well. I got a publication, got some patents in my name. And what I found was that once a company scales past 30, 40 people, there's a lot of red tape involved, and you can't be as creative as you could be early on. So
Okay.
3 to 4 companies. One day I walked into work and I looked at my boss and I said, you know what, today's the last day. I quit today. And they asked me what to do. And I said, I have no idea. So I called my buddy up who owns a tire shop, and I changed tires for 6 months. And people looked at me like I was crazy.
Yeah, that's quite the career shift, going from molecular biology to changing tires. And which molecular biology is creative. How creative can you be changing tires?
I'm not a creative field, but this is where the photography comes in, is that I
There you
would
go.
bring my camera and take photos of cars, people's, customers, whatever. And people loved it so much, they would egg me on saying, you have to do this like full time. I was like, you know what, let's start. So I put myself up on, those gig websites, Thumbtack, and
Okay.
I got my first lead, charged $40 for a 2-hour photo shoot. Um, I got some really good headshots out of that one. Surprisingly, I've been doing full photography full time for 4 years now. People still point at that photo and ask me to take that. Like they're like, I want to look like that. And then believe it or not, that was my first paid photo shoot for $40. So put myself on those gig websites, and I, crashed at my parents'. So I was totally just starting afresh. Then what happened was I was like, okay, so I know how to take photos. I would practice on all friends, clients that would willing to pay me such a low price. I practiced for a good about 8, 9 months. I found a mentor that was really good in photography who taught me how to use studio lights, how to use them outdoors, indoors. Then once I got good at this, I was like, okay, so the biggest thing I'm missing here is clientele. And,
Right.
as a science brain, I kind of, worked backwards. I went on Google. I got, a SEMrush for SEO, saw how much traffic competitors were getting and what prospective clients were searching for. And slowly but surely, I started building my website. And then in the meantime, parallel to that, a photographer that was popular in San Francisco reached out to me and was like, hey, your work is great. I saw your Thumbtack profile. I would like for you to contract for me. And what that taught me was, I worked with him for about a year. What that taught me was how to what clienteles are coming in, how to engage with people. So one of the biggest things I tell some of my contractors is, you can do a good job with a photo, but it's about how you walk a customer or a client through the photo process. That's
Sure.
that's key for me, honestly.
Sure.
You can take a great photo and someone walks out of there like they were stiff or it didn't flow well. So, anyways, I digress. I so in
No, no, that's perfect. I want to come back to that.
what I tell my contractors and what I learned was working with different personalities. Some people, they're like, I don't want to be here. My company's making me come here. I don't want like, please don't take too much of my time. I need 5 minutes, take the photo and leave. And
Right.
I'm like, okay, you got it. Some in the beginning, I was like, no, no, we have to do this angle and this. And the person's like, I frankly don't care. Um, Meanwhile, there's
I mean, you still have to make them look good, though.
exactly. Meanwhile, there's other people that you really have to dig deep. So sometimes my wife is a therapist, and sometimes I joke, I was like, you know what, I'm somewhat of a therapist as well, because people come in and frankly, they have insecurities that they don't want to talk about.
Right.
And these insecurities play a big role in the photo shoot. Like they're like, oh no, I like this side of my face, or I'm worried about my round cheeks, or I'm worried about the dimple when I smile. And going back to the point of how you talk to people, it's about walking them through the process, asking
Right.
them questions that you don't necessarily have to dig deep, but you can kind of get a good sense of, okay, this is what they like, this is what they don't like, and then
Mhm.
working with them. One of the biggest mistakes I made early on was, okay, this lighting usually works for like 80% of people, and I will try to fit everyone into this lighting or this pose.
Right.
And that's what I learned. I was like, okay, that's where I learned like different body structures, different body shapes, the face
Sure.
shape. You won't believe it how deep your eye socket is makes a big impact. You might use a beauty dish to kind of hide your double chin, but if you have someone with deeper eye sockets, you can't even see the pupils. So
Yeah.
stuff like that I learned working with that.
I call that raccooning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So stuff like that I learned working with that contractor. Luckily, it wasn't on, I got to practice on someone else's reputation, not mine. In that year, I learned SEO really well, and I was immediately in like 8 to 9 months. Again, I didn't hire any contractors. I just learned this just using SEMrush, analyze competitors' websites. I would watch a bunch of YouTube videos, and I would read Google documents. Created my website where I was ranking number 2 on Google. I think I'm still in for headshots in San Francisco, or professional headshots San Francisco.
Mhm.
And from there, it was like everything just took off. So I went
Mhm.
to pretty much, I surpassed the salary I was making as a scientist. And I've been doing this full time for about 3 years now.
Okay.
On my brand. So, and all that practice and the experience I had early on paid off.
How did you decide to go with the 415 headshots branding? Because it's obviously you're going kind of like, the local area. You've got the trolley and the streetcar in your logo. So you're kind of really identifying that. But it's really not you. And a lot of photographers, especially portrait photographers, really sell their personality. What was that decision about?
That's a good question. Honestly, I was not thinking. So, no, but there is some logic to it. So the logic is I actually did some business analysis, if you may.
Mhm.
What sells in San Francisco? So
Mhm.
it's not like I'm selling actor photos or actor headshots, or am I doing
Mhm.
it's most of like the big hitters in San Francisco
Mhm.
is corporate photography, whether it's event photos, headshots, etc., or weddings and families. Obviously, that's everywhere. Headshots had to be in the name for me because that's what I was good at, and I know corporate photography is going to take off. And then another thing is when, for me, this is the way I was thinking about it is companies usually, most of these people are doing conferences, or they're doing offsites, or they're doing a once a year meeting in San Francisco, and
Mhm.
they're like, we just want a local San Francisco photographer that's going to do like an amazing job. So for me, I was kind of catering to like the corporate world per se,
Right.
of like, yes, I'm local San Francisco, been doing this, and we're doing headshots. So it kind of fits the bill for those corporate clients. So yeah, that's how I came up with 415 headshots.
What percent of your business is like the headshot thing? Is that all you do?
I did that 100% for the first year and a
And there was
half.
enough business. I guess my thing is there was enough business there to.
Yeah, so that's exactly why I did my business research first and was like, yes, you won't believe it. It's weird. Friday nights at midnight, I'm getting like 3 requests for headshots. I'm like, what's going on? It's like, it's weird. So there is a lot of clientele. So the reason is because San Francisco is such a revolving door of professionals coming in and out. There, when you think about it, there's a lot of venture capital money being poured into
Mhm.
startups constantly. Or like, for example, the whole AI trend happened. So there's a lot of companies, startups getting AI funding
Mhm.
and they need headshots. So it's
Right.
a revolving door in terms of professions, professionals coming and going, conferences happening. You won't believe the amount of times someone messages me is like, I need a headshot in literally the next hour because I have a conference and I need to look presentable because apparently my photo is going to go on a presentation. So
Right.
there's a lot of business to go around. And
Okay.
especially given the fact that there's a lot of competitors as well.
So let's talk a little bit about the competitive environment, right? Because you're relatively new to the market. So it didn't look like you leverage your existing contacts. You built it from the ground up. You did some SEO magic and things like that. But in the competitive environment, I mean, you're basically competing against, in some cases, the iPhone, in some cases, AI, and all these other tools, right? So tell me a little bit about what it's like competing in that market.
So this is where it gets, nitty gritty. Some photographers are out there that provide headshots and they're providing like $700 headshots, right? And it's all about when I get to this point, it's about skill and pricing and like a Venn diagram situation there. Some of photographers are providing like $100 headshots. I think there's a studio called $99 headshots or something like that. Pricing is one. Second
Mhm.
is skill. I like keeping that in mind of like the different looks you can do. You're not
Mhm.
just limited to a studio or outdoor. That's one thing. So what I did in terms of competitors is I kind of made myself lucrative enough. I made myself accessible. So what I mean by that is I offer a 15-minute session.
Right.
It's $209. So
Mhm.
if you're a professional and you're looking to elevate your online presence, you're not spending 50, 500, $600. And
Right.
also at the same time, you feel like you're getting good product because you're not paying $100. You see my portfolio. I've actually this week, I just got my headshots featured on TechCrunch and Bloomberg. So
Mhm.
I have these publications where, yes, my headshots are on these reputable websites, so people feel like they're getting a medium. They're like, we're getting the professional headshot. Granted, it's only 15 minutes, but you're getting what you need, and then you can leave.
Right.
I miss out on are people that are willing to pay the 700, $800, and they're getting a 2 hour session. I'm missing out on that market, but I do that strategically. In my business, I'm focusing more about volume and quality at once.
Mhm.
This is just high quality, low volume.
Yeah. No, I get that. I mean, it's an interesting way to approach that. Is that because you would have trouble like
Yes.
maintaining a session for 2 hours? Because it seems to me like you're more like process, get it in, get it done, interact, be friendly, get the expression, and then you don't need 2 hours for that.
So yeah, so the reason I priced it that way, at first I was doing 1 hour sessions when I first started up. And I often found that most people, it wasn't me, people were done about at the 30-minute mark.
Right.
Like I got what I wanted. Like, can we wrap this up? And I would have multiple people coming at me like, I know this says 1 hour. I don't want to be here for 1 hour. Can we just get that
Right.
photo and leave? And because most of these, again, like I mentioned, it's just like the LinkedIn or if it's like the internal tools, I don't have
Mhm.
a problem maintaining a session for an hour and a half or 2 hours. I love
Right.
it, frankly. I get to use all the different, for me, I always tell people a photo shoot is like a science experiment for me. I don't
Mhm.
have any lighting set up. I look at you, I look at your facial features, and then I set the lighting up according to you and the look you're
Right.
going for. I love that personally, but most of my clientele are like, we're not in it for that. We just need to just update something. However,
Mhm.
this is the flip side is when you go to portraits and portrait like branding portraits when people have
Mhm.
their websites or they're business owners or
Right.
a boutique finance firm or law firm,
Mhm.
that's when I'm doing the hour sessions because
Right.
then they're like, hey, we're a team of 2 people or 3 people, we need to
Right.
cater to XYZ, we need to have different looks for different platforms. That's when I'm focusing on that. And frankly, I need to actually market towards that a little bit more, but I have,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, because that is, I was looking at like the flavors, I guess is what I would call it, of headshots that you have. You don't have the vanilla chocolate or strawberry. I mean, you've got the the rare headshot, the team headshot, which is what I think you're talking about, right? The team headshot, which is where you want to keep a similar look across, because there may be 6 or 8 or 12 all, and you don't want different backgrounds and different looks, right?
Right. And then it also comes down to posing. So that's one thing I learned a lot
Mm-hmm.
is when it comes to the headshots itself, that's fine. And I learned this like about a year and a half ago. People love being micromanaged. They love it because they don't know what to do, what angles suit them. So the difference is when you're doing that hour and a half to 2 hour session, it's not even just the backgrounds, it's about the posing. So some like, for example, if your arms are shorter than like for your torso, you can't really cross your arms, right? I don't want to force you into that. So people are that's an example. Or like if your neck is longer, I don't want you to kind of like lean over a little bit, like see like your long neck, stuff like that. It's just
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that with those hour and a half, 2 hour sessions, it's more about posing
Mm-hmm.
than it is actually just taking the headshot and the photos. And
Right.
that's what people are craving for those hour sessions, and I love doing that too. Again, it's just a different.
Mm-hmm.
That's more for you have your website. You may be a therapist, for example, and you're doing different poses and making yourself look warm and comfortable, showing your clientele different looks versus just the classic
Mm-hmm.
gray background headshot for finance.
And another niche on these is the dating headshots, which,
Oh yeah.
for those on the apps and things. So is it the same pricing
Oh
for a
no, no,
business for a
no.
day?
So this I love dating headshots, man. You won't believe it. I call it headshots. I need to change the name to portraits or something. So what this is, it's a very interesting market here. And I need to advertise this again. I've just been so busy. But
Mm-hmm.
what I do is so for dating headshots, I offer a consultation call. So we hop on a call for about 30 minutes. I figure out your personality.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, are you more introverted, extroverted, like going out? What do you want to showcase on your dating profile?
Mm-hmm.
And I work with matchmakers. So sometimes we have a three-way call and the matchmaker is there and it's like, hey, I need to convey XYZ for this person's dating profile.
Wow.
Figure out what are you interested in certain venues, like what kind of clothes do you wear, etc. And then what we get off that call, if they're not working with a matchmaker, then I take it one step further is I have a stylist that I work with. So what I do is based upon your personality and what you've conveyed to me, I will pick out 4 to 5 different outdoor locations that would suit your personality the best.
Mm-hmm.
And then what my stylist does is she goes on different websites or like the mall nearby and like picks out wardrobes for the person to wear for each location. And we don't buy them. That's on the person because I don't want to deal with the sizing and whatever. So the person goes, buys the clothes. They agree, like, okay, I like this. They show up to the session. So like for example, if someone wants to, be like an easygoing, fun, like extroverted look, I'm like, hey, let's go to the Embarcadero Farmers Market on Saturday morning. Let's get some casual shots of you,
Mm-hmm.
getting your groceries, stuff like that to make it look warm and, like everyday kind of look. Then we might switch outfits, put on something like a little business casual, and let's go to a wine bar, like enacting like a
Yeah.
happy hour type of situation. And we do this for 4 to 5 different looks because that's usually what people are looking at. And we focus on mainly is like the first look, the first photo they're going to do. And then, yeah, so that the pricing for that is close to $1,000. Again, it depends on how many looks you're going for. And then if you want hair and makeup, which most individuals do, it's an extra cost. But yeah, it's a very boutique service and it's very hands-on and people love it. They always message me back. They're like, hey, thank you so much. I've been getting a lot more matches than I did before. I had one person who actually outsources images to get like A/B testing done. It's like, how would you rank my previous pictures to the pictures that I took? Yeah, the new pictures are great.
That's a very Silicon Valley thing to do.
Oh, of course, of course. And the last thing, I got this comment from someone who, after the dating headshots, he messaged me. He's like, hey, thank you so much for these photos. I've been on a lot of first dates, but what's happening is I can't really make it to a second date because my first dates always fall through. Because the photos, they look great. And when I come in, like, I don't know how to do small talk. Do you offer dating coaching? And I was like,
Well, maybe this is
I
something your
can't.
wife could help with it because she's a therapist, right? Maybe she could help with that.
Yeah. Yeah, we've talked about that before. And I was like, that's just the whole can of worms I do not want to
Yeah,
open.
that's whole.
Yeah. So
Hey, you did the job. You got the
no.
first date. The second date's up to them, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you serve different geographical areas too, not just markets. But like it says you have four here. I mean, are all of these studios per se, or just geographical locations that you are trying to reach?
So I have a studio in San Francisco and I have a studio in
Okay.
Sacramento. Palo Alto and San Jose, I offer a
Hmm.
location because of, again, after doing market research, there's a lot of finance, law firms, venture capital firms in San Jose and
Sure.
Palo Alto. And then we'll drive out there and set up and take care of
Hmm.
all that. That also is more for SEO purposes, but I do notice that I get a lot of hits from those
Hmm.
websites because I usually from Palo Alto, San Jose, I usually most of my clients are like, hey, we actually do need you to come and set
Hmm.
up and take care of everything. That's that. Yeah, but full-time Sacramento and San Francisco are
And I
studios.
noticed that they offer different services. Like Sacramento is really more full featured. It's still sort of the headshot-ish thing. Could we also do some video and some other stuff there too?
Yeah. So again, market research here, Sacramento has a lot more actors, has more of an acting and modeling
Hmm.
scene, and a lot more creative scene. So there's a lot of creatives here that require the
Hmm.
videos. And I'm actually going to extend that out to San Francisco. I'm trying to figure out the best way to do it without interrupting my SEO. So Google doesn't just penalize me for just saying, hey, your name is headshots and now you're doing videos. So because what happened is I found a buddy we're gonna try to partner up, or we're trying to figure out the structure for this, who's super, super good at
Hmm.
videos, wedding videos. He's done for a
Sure.
while, but what happened is my clients, they're like, hey, your photos are great. And because I capture, what ends up happening is if I do the headshots, they love me. They're like, can you capture like our next holiday party or we're having a conference. We need to capture action
Hmm.
shots of like the team
Or
engaging
even just
together.
like those
So
things where people just sit and talk about their
I
company. I mean, that's like a
yeah,
video portrait kind of thing.
exactly. So then I started doing all of that, and believe it or not, like I did stock images for Fortune 500 companies that they use all over their website and internal tools, where it's like the classic, they're in a conference room and everyone's engaged. And then what happened is I started getting requests is like, can we please offer videos as well? Because we need to use this, like we have training
Right.
videos. So we're doing stock images, let's just do the videos there at the same time. So I found a buddy who was a friend for a while. I never really thought to bring it up because he would only do weddings, and then slowly but surely he started doing corporate gigs, and now we're doing it
Hmm.
together. I haven't fully advertised it yet because I'm building up a portfolio to
Hmm.
showcase, and it kind of frankly it sucks a little because most of the videos I shoot they're supposed to keep it hush hush. I can't share them because I have
Oh, sure.
confidential
Absolutely.
information
Right.
of
Yeah.
companies.
Yeah.
So so it it's kind of a double-edged sword. Like I'm getting business, but I can't
Right.
advertise
Yeah.
it. So I'm kind of
You're the
running into
best
that's
kept
why I haven't
secret,
advertised.
right?
Yeah. That's why for Sacramento it's easy for me to showcase because Sacramento offers more creative artistic videos I can
Sure.
showcase that is for small businesses and they're not really adamant about privacy. So
So
no.
what about the like just the standard LinkedIn headshot, right? Everyone's got that. I always like to ask people who do shoot those kind of things, like, should you go for more of a natural look or get one that's touched up or what's because I mean there's so many tools out there where people are just like eliminating every possible blemish and every possible thing. And it's almost, I wouldn't say AI generated, but they don't even look real.
Yeah, avoid the fake look. My rule. I mean, you're updating your LinkedIn profile, you're doing this to network, right? Whether you're getting a new job, whether you're getting a promotion, everyone's gonna see
Right.
you. Or in the like after this, you're setting yourself up to meet people. Like again, if you're getting a new job, you're gonna go into a job interview. First thing is, they look at your LinkedIn picture, and if it doesn't look like you, they're definitely gonna be
Right.
thrown off. My simple rule, don't make it look fake. However, do some touch-ups to make it look actually professional. So removing the flyaway hairs, obviously removing if you have something in your teeth, if your lipstick was off a little bit, stuff like that. I do touch up the skin. Again, I make it look
Right.
natural. I leave some of the eye bags. I leave the lines near
Hmm.
the
Yeah.
like near your mouth when you smile. Yeah, I leave that stuff in there, or else it just looks very, very
Yeah.
manicured.
It just seems like there's a lot because there's those tools are so prevalent now on an amateur level, right? People are it just you scroll through LinkedIn and it looks like the Cartoon Network.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yep. And you know what? I do run into someone like maybe 1 out of 10 times. They do specifically ask for that. And again, I double check. I'm like, are you sure?
Yeah.
Like you want this? Yes, I do. And I was like, okay. So I mean, I can't, I mean, the customer's always right. So I'm like, I'll give you what you asked
Mhm.
for.
But be careful what you ask for. You just might get
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I mean, especially my biggest thing, if you're a realtor, I'm sorry, please make it more natural because you are definitely gonna see a lot of people. That's for
Mhm.
me. Like if you're a therapist, if you're a therapist, if you're a realtor, for like those two professions, I usually get a lot of people coming in for headshots. Try to keep it more
Mhm.
natural. When it's someone like a lawyer, for example, I feel like you can get away with it looking a little bit more
Mhm.
manicured. Usually people are just giving you a phone
Right.
call, especially if you're one of like a patent attorney, you're just an emoji or you're just a picture on someone's Slack channel. Like no
Right.
one's the most of these people more than likely are working from home. And the reason I know they're working from home is I've had a couple of lawyers come in and they're wearing basketball shorts and they're wearing a blazer and a suit
Yeah.
and tie on top. They're like, I work from home. No one really sees my face. I'm just doing this because my company asked me to. So I was like, okay.
And you're fine with it.
Yeah.
Huh? So what
Yeah.
I guess what I've learned from you in this is kind of interesting is one is the market research to determine the markets you wanted that was going to be something that was going to be of interest to you, right, as a creative pursuit, but also there was a business there, right? What were some of the tools you used for doing that marketing research?
SEMrush, I think, was the
Hmm.
biggest one.
So you were basically looking for what people were searching for.
Right,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah. So it's like if I'm looking up like acting headshots in San Francisco, it had a lower volume than professional corporate headshots or company
Mm-hmm.
headshots. So that's one. The second thing, again, I worked in the corporate
Hmm.
world, so I knew how prevalent these headshots were. So I had some sort of insight
Hmm.
into that. That's number two. Number three was the fact that we're in such a revolving door of companies in the Bay
Right. A
Area.
lot of turnover.
Exactly. It's not just the individuals, it's the companies. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to an offsite or a company's office because they're like, we just got funding yesterday, or you won't believe it, these
Right.
incubators, they're getting bombarded with
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurs. They're like, hey, I want to start a company. And I mean, I don't know if they're gonna, IPO, but I definitely know that they're probably get to 2, 3 employees and then they'll need
Mm-hmm.
headshots. So
Do you create a headshot with the regular shot and then with the open to work overlay as an option?
Oh no, that's hilarious. No, I don't do that. No, but you'd be surprised. So when there were a lot of tech layoffs
Oh
this
yeah.
year, I did get an influx of I'm looking for a new job. I need
Yeah.
a headshot. I definitely got a huge influx of
That's
those
too bad.
requests.
But I mean, as everyone was seeing in the news, there were lots of layoffs in the tech industry. So
And at the same time, a lot of people getting hired for AI startups. So it was kind of a mixed bag.
yeah. Last thing, what do you think about some of these AI tools for on the generative side, not just for the touch up side, right? Because that's like using Photoshop, which it's just a tool to my. But I mean, people were like using, they'll put their face into GenCraft or whatever, and they'll create like an AI
Right.
version of themselves. I mean, obviously, I think they look cartoony and weird, but what do you think?
So I think it's great in a sense, in a sense. So if you are a professional, personally, if I was 21, fresh out of
Hmm.
college, and I'm like I get paid, I'm at the bottom of the barrel in my
Hmm.
salary level, I'd be more than happy to pay $20 and get an AI headshot if and only if it's like I'm using it just for
Right.
LinkedIn and it's super small and tiny and you can barely kind of see it. Again, here's the caveat. Would I make it look would I be happy if it was cartoony?
Hmm.
Absolutely not. I believe in the next 2 to 3 years, it's definitely gonna
Oh,
get
sure.
better. If I'm talking about 2, 3 years and the quality of that headshot, I definitely use it. However, on the flip side, and I think it's great for that use case. But on the flip side, if you wanted to create and everything is about authenticity, I feel like in today's day and age, if you wanted to create an authentic look or an authentic branding of
Sure.
yourself as if you're like a chef and I'm taking I've done this before for a chef. I've done chef headshots. they're in the kitchen and they're whipping something up and they're like, you can see the intensity on their
Mhm.
face and making it look beautiful. For that, I believe AI won't represent
Right.
your
Right.
authentic self. And believe for that you definitely need camera, lights, action. And I don't believe AI will
And
replace that.
Jasmeet, with your skill and your interest, you got to have you there too, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, AI is good, and it has
Yeah,
its place,
exactly.
but also
Awesome. So if
yeah,
people
so
are
yeah.
interested in more information on you and your company, we've said it several times. This is probably going to help the SEO even more. But where can they go for more information about your company?
Yeah, www.415headshots.com. I haven't uploaded the blog yet, but I'm actually working on that right
Mhm.
now, and I'm going to be start posting more relatable stuff. So
Awesome.
keep a lookout.
Well, listen, it's
Yeah,
great to meet you and hear more about your business. I learned a few things, so that's always a great outcome of these. So good to see you, and maybe next time I'm in the Bay Area, I'll check it out. It only takes
yeah,
15
likewise.
minutes, right?
It only takes 15 minutes.
Awesome. Thank
Yeah,
you much.
yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Dead Pixel Society podcast. Read more great stories and sign up for the newsletter at www.thedeadpixelssociety.com.